Okay, we're gonna get started. I was joking that we are almost on time. Only 15 minutes late. It's 9:45. We're good. Okay, welcome. It's so nice to see all of you, meet some of you last night, and chat with you guys this morning. I think already, hopefully, some of you are feeling the connection and the wonderfulness and the goodness of these conferences, finding similarities with families and people across the world that you never knew that you lived the same life as. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for making the trek here. We're so glad that you came. We're so happy to meet all of you and just grateful for you to be here with us. I think, Rachel and I, this is our second one. And after we left last year's conference in Croatia, felt, closer to all the families we got to see. I had never met another child with NARS1 personally, so that was really heartwarming for me. But we're just so, thankful that we met you guys, that you're here. And I think we never expected 4 years ago when we met each other on Facebook that something like this would transpire. And so just so happy to be here as a resource for all of you guys too and bring you together. Anything else you want to add?
Good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so that was our welcome. You know your children are next door in the room. You had to sign lots of papers. Feel free to go see them and join them, or maybe they'll pop in here too if you need them at any point in the day. And then they are having a music class over there at 11, sponsored by the James Gang. So we thank them for that. I think that'll be really fun for the kids. So we'll make sure to get some pictures, or we can pop over there too. And then there's some sheets around just for if you want to be on your phone or the Wi-Fi. The better Wi-Fi is the conference Wi-Fi, and there's the password is on there too. Okay, so we're going to share a lot of information with you guys today. Some of it is going to be very scientific and over your head, but we're going to have a lot of sessions with basic information too. So the morning we just do a moment to introduce all of ourselves, get to know everybody, share a little bit about your family, and then we'll get into some of the updates on our foundation, basics of NARS 1. And then the afternoon, we are so fortunate that a lot of our scientific community is either here or will be on Zoom to present all of the great work that's happening right now in research on NARS1. And then we'll end and kind of wrap things up. Okay, so hopefully you've all visited our website, but this is just a little bit about us as a foundation and kind of what we stand for, our purpose and our mission. So we care for everyone, we champion research, hoping to change the future, not for our own children, but for all of your children as well. So hopefully you've seen this before. And then who we are as a foundation. There's a lot more faces on this screen than there was even a year ago. So Rachel, our founder, the scientific brain of everything that started. And then you can kind of see myself. We have my husband, Chris, is the treasurer. Lauren, who acts as our secretary, is over watching your children. And then we have, through a grant we received, been able to hire quite a few different contractors. So Leora, who's next door, is our executive director. Ingrid up here from France acts as our scientific advisor. And then Kat in the back, who you all have probably met or heard of, does all of our marketing and communications and branding and makes things look beautiful. And then Mark, who is a father of Serena, he's on his way. He is also a board member. Okay, so one thing we learned last year from Croatia was it was really great to give everyone just a moment to introduce themselves, talk about their family, a little bit about their NARS 1 journey, and share. So we have a slide for everybody. If you feel comfortable and you want to speak, we'll pass around the microphone and a couple of prompts of things to share. You can share more than that. You can share less, whatever you feel comfortable with. But just to kind of kick off. And, you know, you've gotten to speak with people if you were sitting with them for breakfast, but for everyone in the room to be able to kind of hear. So we're just going to do that for the first portion of the morning. We'll ease into the day. Okay, I will go first. This is my crazy family. So Grady is my little boy in the back who's 8. He has NARS1. And then my husband Chris, and then our older son Evan, who's 11, is neurotypical. And so Grady has 2 bad copies of the NARS1 gene. So one passed on for me, one passed on for my husband. We live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so right in the middle of the country. Grady loves music. He loves anything and everything sensory, you name it. Bubbles, water, sand, lights, loud sounds, the vacuum, YouTube, Miss Rachel. We already talked about some of that. He loves people, and I think jumping, bounce house, swinging, again, anything like he does not sit still ever. He has learned how to walk. He's learned how to walk and really walks well with your hand, and he will not let you put him down. So he really hates being down on the floor now. He always wants to walk and stand up. And so, yeah, he's just a very, very interactive, which I think all of you see with all of your children. And I saw in the children in the room next door, they have no stranger danger, and they love people. So, our diagnosis journey was maybe a little bit different than a lot of yours because there was nothing about NARS1 when we were diagnosed. Grady was diagnosed in 2018. And so, really, the only other people were a few published in papers and Rachel as well that had this show up on a genetic report. So, we, got a call, said, we think we know what's going on with your son. It's this newly, discovered gene, but we don't know anything. We can't help you. So I think that moment of like, okay, like what do we do now? What do we do with this? Right? We researched all the papers, we emailed the authors. Stephanie, who was one of our researchers, was the only person that wrote back. And yeah, we kind of had to learn on our own, like, what is this and who else is out there and what can we do about it? Until I met Rachel. And then she told me everything about it and basically was the NARS1 expert at the time. And, now I think our hope is that no one else has to go through a diagnosis journey like that. Like people who get NARS1 can Google it now. They can find a website, they find a resource, they find a community and a group. And yeah, nobody else would have to feel like that is kind of the goal. So what I hope to get out of the conference is, yeah, just meeting all of you, getting to meet your kids, getting to hear about your family, wanting to hear how we as a foundation can help you more, how we can help be a resource for you, and yeah, just meet some friends. So that's me. Okay, who's next? Kat in the back.
Are you coming up here, Kat?
Hi, so this is me, my husband, and Callum. Callum is nearly 6, so he'll be 6 at the end of this month. I could literally just say everything Terry's just said. Callum and Grady are the same child, just a few years apart. We are from Northwest UK, if you can't tell by the accent. Very different to everyone else in the room. What Callum likes, again, exactly the same as Grady, probably more bouncing than Grady. Rachel and Ingrid will both attest how much my child loves to bounce. He's not yet walking. He's trying very hard, but he's not quite there yet. But swimming, sensory toys, bubbles, everything goes in his mouth, which I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest to. So shoes, loves crawling around with shoes in his mouth like a dog. He loves a shoe. If you've got a crop, stay away from my house because they're his favorite. Our diagnosis journey. So, Callum was diagnosed at 3. So we'd gone through quite a lot of not knowing what was going on. He had his first seizure at 11 weeks old. So we kind of went through a whole journey, then development delay, not hitting milestones. He had a couple of surgeries for different things, all related to genetic disorders, but the test came back and no, nothing wrong with him. All there is. But and then eventually we got the full test and got the diagnosis. And with that diagnosis, I got, it's really rare. Here's a link to a website, and that website was the Roy Bell Foundation. The Not immediately,
Which was not up to marketing standards. Rachel and I made it on Google Sites.
It was amazing. Roy Bell Foundation was very early journey still. And I reached out to Terry and Rachel because I needed that information, that support, and these guys were definitely that for me. And then my kind of mission then was to make it as accessible as possible for everyone, make sure that the resources are there, use the non-scientific skill set that I have to try and get the science out there so that everyone understands it. And then in terms of what do I hope to get out of the conference, again, I shouldn't have followed you. Very similar, very similar to, it's amazing to meet all of the NAS1 kids. They are all the same. They all have the same traits. And it's just incredible to see. One day, hopefully, I will get Callum to one of these. Callum is also 2 genes, so one inherited from me, one inherited from Dave, hence being very similar to Grady. Is fed via a peg. Doesn't walk yet. Development delay, so he's quite severe. So traveling with him is quite difficult. But yeah, just meeting all of you guys and listening to all the science as well. Terry's already said there's going to be a lot of information. Your head's going to feel like it's going to explode, but it is all worth it, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, who's next? Oh, Marley, Kayla. You don't have to come up front, but you're welcome to. Don't feel that pressure. You can stand wherever you feel like it. Yeah.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Kayla Mansour, and I brought my support person, my sister, Krista, with me. She flew in from California to Dallas, where we're from, and then flew with us here yesterday. So thank you, sister. My girl is Marley. She just turned 13 years old. We have 2 little boys as well. We've got Maddox, who is 7, and Marshall, who's 6. We all have our isms in our family, so that's what we call it. So we're all kind of on our own little journeys. But we didn't get Marley's diagnosis until she was 9.5, which felt pretty late in life, though I know not as late. But yeah, we did genetic testing in like 2016 or so, and obviously nothing came back. They said, keep doing what you're doing. So we kept doing what we were doing. And we ended up at Scottish Rite for something else because I was like, I'm getting a diagnosis because I'm sick of insurance giving me a hard time about everything. So I don't care what I'm going to get, but I'm going to get something. And so that took us to Scottish Rite there in Dallas, and we saw a new neurologist, and he started comparing like weird things I never thought, like her thumb fingernails. I'm like, yeah, one's a little bit smaller, and doing different things that I had never even thought to think about or look at. And he said, let's just run another panel. We'll run your panel, we'll run Dad's panel. And I was like, you're not going to find anything. Like, this is the same story we've had. Keep doing what you're doing type story. And then I walked in the day, and they're like, you ready to discuss the diagnosis? And I just thought I was going to melt on the floor because I never thought I would hear that word. So we got our diagnosis at 9.5, and I walked out of that room and hit the floor running, researching. And I think within a half a day, I was on the phone with Rachel chatting. Yeah, it was fast. So whether she likes me or not, she's stuck with me forever. She's going to be my friend forever. Because she was just such a vital role in my life and in our journey at that moment. And I'm just so grateful for her. And she told me everything I needed to know about NARS1. I'd even go see a genetic counselor because I was like, I don't think I need to do that. Yeah, I was like, let's just cancel that. So that was interesting. And since then we've been on a unique journey with Marley. She just turned 13 and we weren't gonna come. And I thought, why? It was a little bit of a stretch. Marley doesn't fly well. We threw up in the terminal yesterday. We had some rough flights, but I was like, when else are we gonna meet so many other Marleys? We have to come. And I just love it, every minute of it. I filmed her and James meeting in there, and her and Sadie are in there sitting the same exact way. And it's just, you guys are awesome. And I'm so, so happy to be here with you guys. I hope to just connect with you guys. If my kid's older than you, I hope to share a little bit of hope with you and a little bit of love with you. And that's what Nancy did for me. And that's what Bud did for me. I went to their home a couple of times and got to meet James, and it was the most beautiful moment of my life. I thought I was going to be sad. I thought I was going to be looking into Marley's future and being like, this is going to be a sad future, but it was the exact opposite. It gave me hope. It's like James is happy. He is loved. Marley's going to be okay. So thank you for doing that for me, guys. And whenever you guys ever reach out to us online, that's what I try to do for y'all. I just want to give y'all a little bit of hope and a little bit of love. And then I know some of y'all have talked, and I'm happy to always be a support for you guys in any way. Obviously not to the point of these ladies by any means, but we have been a first contact for a few of you. And that's been pretty cool to point you guys to all the resources. And like I said, always happy to be here for y'all. And thank you, Terry. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Kat, for all you guys are doing. I'm happy to meet the researchers that are here today. So thank y'all so much.
No, I'm crying. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Who's next? Talon. Oh, perfect. Right next to you.
All right. Hi, I'm Mackenzie. Talon is our son. Then we also have Naxon, who is 6, and Hazen. She is 3. This is Josh. Yeah, Talon is 13. We kind of just along the lines of Kayla's story of, we did genetic testing in 2015 and nothing came back. We were doing everything that we could, and it wasn't enough. We went and we redid genetic testing when he was, well, when did the Rory Bell Foundation start?
2022, technically, we registered, had our basic website. Yep.
So
Probably
I-
not till, I don't know, 23, 24. Maybe did we have a good up and running website with lots of information?
Okay, so yeah, I would say I believe Talon was diagnosed with NARS in 2020. Went through we just saw a genetic counselor who gave us the one research. There wasn't anything else really out there. We followed up every year. Is there anything new? Like anywhere we should go? And we just didn't find anything. And then I found Kayla and her Facebook page or TikTok page. Yes, one of them, Marley's Rare Journey. And that was kind of how it started for us. I think the diagnosis was hard. If anyone doctors through Mayo, we received all of the paperwork saying, okay, red flag positive NARS. And then it was weeks before we heard from anyone to schedule an appointment. So I think that was hard. I did the same thing of just read the one article that there was. But yeah, we found Rory Bell Foundation last year, Marley's story, and we were really struggling, and that was something that was really helpful for us to find, just knowing that we weren't alone in this journey. We are from small town Wisconsin, and there aren't a lot of resources, so it was nice to just kind of be able to connect. And I know I sent a message and I emailed with Terry, and then I was able to have a phone conversation with Kayla, and it was really, just such a a good experience. I got off the phone and I just cried, just like knowing that we weren't alone. So, yeah, but yeah, Talon is fun. Anyone that's seen him, he is so social. He is so fun. He just like lives his best life. His world is just, I mean, for how hard it is, you wouldn't know, you couldn't tell. Yeah, I think it's been a little bit hard developmentally. He's younger than like his 6-year-old brother. So I think we're also in this new phase of like all these firsts with Noxon that have been exciting but hard to like compare. But yeah, and I think just from the conference, just being able to see, we haven't met anyone else in person, so this is really great. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. I feel like it's sad we live so close to each other, but we had to come to Boston to meet each other. They're from Wisconsin, we're from Minnesota, so not very far from each other. Okay. Serena, Ruth is here to represent. Mark is stuck. Mark is trying to get here.
Mark does better at the public speaking stuff than I do. But I'm Ruth. That's my husband, Serena. That's my husband, Mark, and my daughter, Serena. We also have an older son who is 19. He wasn't able to make it to the conference, but I'm hoping maybe we get to meet him eventually. He likes science. He's studying biology right now in college, so I'm hoping he'll be able to come at some point. We're from California, from Southern California. We live in a town called Newbury Park, and Serena is very much like things that she likes. She's very sensory too, like everyone else kind of said about their child. She loves like those squishies, those Taba squishies, or whatever squishy is hot and new. She wants it. And she's my water baby. She just loves to be in the water. I can't get her to take a shower, to get into the shower, but once I get her there, I can't get her out of the shower. So same if she goes swimming. She could swim for hours. She absolutely loves it. It's her favorite thing to do. She is also very social. She makes friends with everyone and anyone wherever she goes. Doesn't matter, old, young. She particularly loves babies. She has a very caring, nurturing side to her that just wants to caretake. And our diagnosis happened in December of 2023. So Serena had just turned 10 years old. And Serena's variant is
Unique.
frame shift.
It's really unique.
So hers is it's just very unique. Serena met a lot of her gross motor skill, like developmental milestones. She struggled academically, which is where we found most of the issues or problems keeping up in even as early as preschool. I think the earliest sign for Serena was that she had a speech delay where they told us it was like her sounds were slushy. So just being what's the word, like her pronunciation was slushy. So we could understand her because we lived with her and we knew what her sounds meant and everything that she wanted. But we noticed that people outside of the home were having a really hard time they would look at us like, what did she just say? And doing a lot of interpreting for her. So I had a friend and I asked, I was like, well, do you think I should go see if there's something going on? And she's like, yeah, just go have her see like a speech therapist. So that's like the first thing that we did with Serena was getting her into speech therapy she was probably 3 or 4 when we did that. And then from there on, she just continued to just be behind her peers significantly when it came to like learning her alphabet or learning her sounds, or like everything was just really hard for her once it came to school. Like, even kindergarten was just so hard for her. And so I have ADHD, my son has ADHD. We kind of just thought like, oh, she's just probably got like a lot of ADHD. But And I mean, Kaiser was like able to like kind of check off like, oh yeah, probably ADHD. Yeah, let's give her some methylphenidate. She'll be fine. And she wasn't. And she hated the way it made her feel. And she wasn't making any more progress, like being on ADHD meds or not being on ADHD meds. So we stopped giving those to her in 3rd grade because they just weren't making any difference. And she was continuing to be just so academically behind her peers. One of her teachers suggested going to see a neurologist. And so we went to a neurologist, and the neurologist was so terrible and just very dismissive and didn't want to give us the time of day because she said, well, she doesn't have like any traumatic brain injury. Like there's nothing that we can do for her. Like, so she said, well, how about you go get a genetic test? And if there's something on your genetic test, then maybe we'll do a scan and see what's going on. So we only did it because the neurologist wouldn't do anything for us unless we did the genetic test. So that's why we did it. The first panel came back with nothing. And so then they asked Mark and I to provide a sample to do like a more in-depth panel. And then that's when she got the NARS1 diagnosis. And they just gave me the diagnosis over the phone and just kindly dropped a bomb on my lap and walked away and said, yeah, there's nothing that we can do. We don't know anything about it, but here's this website maybe you can look into. So that's when we found the Roy Bell Foundation. And my husband is, like I was telling Krista earlier, my husband's very action oriented, and he got to work right away trying to connect with Terry and Rachel. And it's been amazing since then. We went to Croatia last year, and connecting with those families was life-changing. And I'm a crier. What I hope to get out of this conference is more connections with all of you. And I want to have a better sense of being able to explain NARS1 to other people, because I still feel like I struggle with letting people know what it is and how specifically it affects Serena and how it's different than maybe it affects some other kids. And also, I want to be able to explain it in a way that makes people want to take action as well and join us in our fight.
Well said. Yeah. Who's next? Oh, I think we're gonna, move to some people on the other side of the room now too. Audrey, who's gonna do it? Steven, you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we should have a Texas
Yeah.
tech
Yeah.
conference next time.
Technically, it's Conroe, so it's like kind of just north of Houston. Yeah, so this is Audrey. She's about 3.5 now. She's home with Cheryl's parents. She's loving life. She also doesn't really travel well either. And it's like a nightmare trying to figure out like what to do with food. And she still drinks milk and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we're from Houston, Texas. She absolutely loves, everything sensory. She loves water. She loves taking baths. She loves being naked for some reason. She likes the lights, the just anything to put in her mouth. I'm trying to think, what else does she like? She likes swings. She loves just the adrenaline rush of just the wind in her face. But she absolutely hates the cold. She hates anything wind related that's natural.
Yep.
We just found this out. We took a trip to Whistler, Canada, and we were out by like the lake, and she just absolutely was miserable, hated it. And we're trying to take professional photos, and this was not the right timing. So I learned that the hard way. She loves my beard, so I'll never shave my beard unless I want to play a trick on her, which I don't know if I'll ever do.
Does she pull your hair too? Hair?
Yeah, she pulls her hair more.
I forgot to say that. Grady likes hair. Pulls
Yeah.
hair. Yep.
I'll probably, you want to do the diagnosis journey? I'm going to start it though. So we, whenever Audrey was going through like the pediatrician schedules and routine appointments and everything, we had a very old grandpa pediatrician. And so he was very well versed in like the science world. And he started just noticing some just developmental like oddities with like her head circumference and just something with like her eyes and just like very subtle things that we never would have noticed. And it was about when she was about 4 months old, he just was like, hey, I would probably go to like check with like a neurologist to see like what's going on. Something's happening like neurologically because her eyes were shuddering up and down instead of left and right. And so he was like, that's a telltale sign that something's neurologically happening. And he was like, I would like to get this checked out. And so he was the one that actually like started our journey into this like diagnosis of NARS1. And so I'm very appreciative of, because he ended up retiring, which is very sad for us. But I'm super grateful for what he found in Audrey, just the subtle nuances. Because if we had not to say someone younger would have never found it, but just how well versed he was into the medical field and the connections he had, and we ended up finding our current neurologist through just you guys. We wouldn't where we are today without them. So I'm gonna let my wife talk now.
I'm a crier. I used to not be, but I think Audrey and her story has made me that. So just fair warning. I know a bit more of the diagnosis journey because I don't know, I'm sure with one parent, like to a teen, there's always one thing that someone takes care of versus the other. And so this is kind of where I was at this point. What he's referring to is she started having infantile spasms at 4 months. And so initially, before the pediatrician told us to go to neurologist, he said first go to the ophthalmologist. And so we went to the ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist thought that she had a tumor in her brain because of the eye movements. Yeah, so we'll just leave that there. That obviously was not the case. But we had to get that checked off to make sure everything was fine in that regard. And then we moved on to the neurologist, and we did an EEG for like, in our story, I can say I'm very grateful for majority of all the medical people in our lives at that time, because usually they like require 72-hour EEG. But because I was so adamant of the fact that I was like, I know you'll catch it in 24-hour EEG, that it was a shorter EEG, and we got our results pretty quickly. And they saw that he was like 99% sure with infantile spasms. So they made us go to the emergency room in Houston, and that's where we basically started our journey with infantile spasms. That kind of led us to like basically where with infantile spasms, they said there's three things that could be. It could be caused from MRI, like showed in the MRI. It could be just like out of nowhere, like there may not be a reason for it. And third, it could be genetic. So then we did genetic testing. And so that takes like a couple months to get back. So this was July of 2023 that she started. And then we got her results November of 2023. And at the time though, I don't know if RareX changed it for NARS1, but at the time it comes back still as a variance of unknown significance for NARS1. And so our personalities are very different with me and my husband. My husband's very much the hopeful, very much positive. I'm like, the world is ending. And so when I got that, he was like, oh, it's probably nothing, because she had another variance of no significance that came up as well. But then when there's like a little paragraph that comes about with NARS1 at the top, and everything almost was Audrey, that I was like, this has to be something. So then I Googled NARS1, and because of all y'all's hard work, this is where I could tear up. Because of all y'all's hard work, you didn't have what's a y'all's job. I was able to Google, and I remember going into my husband. It was like a late night. You know, they tell you as new moms, postpartum moms, not to Google. I was very much that mom. So I Googled, and so I Googled NARS1, site. As much as like it was great to have it, and it was also scary because I also knew Roy. So it was also scary to get that too. But I'm also very involved with that as well. Because Audrey was about 8 months at that time. So hearing Rory's story, you weren't sure. I wasn't sure about how much time I had with Audrey. But, and I don't know if anybody else has felt that way of like how much time you have with your kid. but that was very much where I was at in that moment. So it kind of led to like a lot of family decisions where I started not teaching. I was teaching, it was very hard to take care of Audrey. And so that kind of led us to then I reached, I think, Rachel. She definitely knows more than any geneticist. So that I know. So we still went to geneticist. I still checked off that, thing. I'm a checklist girl. So I was like, I still have to go to geneticist. So he knew nothing. He gave the article that you guys all referred to. And at the end of the day, like, I basically heard more basically from Rachel than I did from him. But all that.
That's common.
Yeah. I was like, maybe, off chance, maybe he knew more, but I was never. That would, but all I have to say, like, I hope that our diagnosis journey, like, shows you guys have done such an amazing job. And I don't know where we would be if it wasn't for like the Roy Bell and like how we are able to confidently talk about Audrey and her diagnosis and advocate for her better because of the work that you guys have done, the knowledge you guys have given us. We're able to have a lot more like behind us, like with in our medical staff and everything because of the work that you guys have done. And you guys have given us confidence in that regard. And we hope together the conference is just to say thank you, first of all, for the work that you guys have done and to meet other families of how you guys navigate, like kind of like the future, and what that kind of looks like. But also to get hope. I think sometimes it's scary to have a kid that has a diagnosis that no one else can really relate to or give advice on. And so I think just having hope in that, like, even though that there's this diagnosis, it's not the end of the world, even though my brain wants to tell me otherwise. So thank you guys so much for everything. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, who's next? Oh, Arlene. Oh, you want a different one? Okay.
Check, check.
Yes.
Sorry, we don't have a picture up there. We never got to send one in.
Oh,
It's okay.
okay. Is she next door? We'll see her.
She's still up in her room,
Oh, up in her. Okay.
getting her beauty rest. Yeah.
I get that.
Her and the other two daughters of ours. Okay, well, my name's Bobby and my wife's Brenda, and we're from Plano, Texas. Just a little north of Dallas.
She said they updated it.
Yeah. So Harlan, she's 6 years old. Oh, there you go. She just got her diagnosis last year, so we're kind of new to all everything, learning about this. And with her, she's, pretty much like y'all's kids. She likes the same things. She loves water. She can't talk yet. She walks. She can walk, but it's, not great. She does have braces. Like I said, she don't talk yet, but she loves babies, water, everything y'all mentioned. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, she loves being in the cold. It's weird because I don't. So yeah, she was just diagnosed last year, and when we did the genetic testing, she didn't get a gene from me or her mom, so they were kind of, wondering where she got it, or what you could say. So yeah, so that's basically why we're here, just to get more info and meet everybody and try to figure out what's going on,
Yes.
But guess do you have anything you want to say, babe?
So, sorry for my tears, but this has been quite a scary journey. And not know what's the unknown out there. But she's amazing, and I'm sure as all of you have an amazing child. So I just look forward to knowing what's good, because like, you mentioned about how, it's scary now, that there's gonna be a better future, like you don't see it so dark anymore. And when we got the diagnosis last year, it's like right before Christmas, it's just like, wow, Um, I was devastated because the first thing I looked at was what was her life expectancy. So I Googled it, and sure enough, it said that the life expectancy wasn't gonna be like forever, for long. So it scared me, and I just stayed in the dark for quite a long time before I came out to share this with my family and friends, my neighbors. But once we got that diagnosis, I spoke to the neurologist. She introduced me that there was somebody close by, to be able to. So I'm happy and forward to meeting her and meeting all of you guys. But
You guys could have your own Texas meetup. There's so many of you.
yeah, so we drove a long way, and this is like all worth it. So we're really happy to be here and just to meet everybody. Yeah. And we're gonna get through it, I
Yeah.
have like positive feelings about this, so thank you.
Yeah.
For actually, I'm thankful that this was here, like right before we got the diagnosis. This has already been started, so it's a blessing, so thank you.
Yeah, and I think you'll find your daughter's variant is very common. So there's multiple children who are the same, of teenagers, 30-year-olds, like in the next room. So I think that's becoming our most common group of patients.
Yes, thank you all very much.
Thank you
having
for
us.
sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Sadie. Yes. You want to pass it to them?
We're gonna have to share because I'm a crier too.
I cannot believe that she does roller coasters.
Y'all, she's a daredevil. This child,
No way.
this child loves to ride roller coasters. We go to Disney World probably 10 to 12 times a year. We live in Florida. We do not live in Texas. We live in Florida. We live in Jacksonville, Florida. We're almost Georgia. She loves the Georgia Bulldogs. We all went to college there. She's really into that. She hates the beach. We live at the beach. She hates the beach because of the wind. She doesn't like to hear the wind. She's always covering her ears saying bye-bye. So we know when she likes stuff and when she doesn't for sure. She, same as all of you, she does all the same things, but she's super snotty when she eats. We have to give her the suppositories to help her poop. We have to do all the same things. We got the infantile spasms diagnosis when she was 14 months. We were at the beach, her least favorite place. We thought she was just really grumpy. She didn't want to be there. And then all of a sudden she had a grand mal seizure right there on the beach. We were in St. George Island, Florida, which is super podunk, no hospitals. They have a hospital over in Apalachicola that probably treats more oyster cuts than anything else. Oyster tongue, or like it was like literally a 2-room ER that we had to take her to. And then we drove home the next morning to Jacksonville, where we have a children's hospital called Wolfson, which is attached to another children's medical clinic called Nemours, and that's where we got hooked up with our neurologist. Apparently, when she was a baby, when she was an infant, though, she really liked to swing in her swing, and she was swinging it for hours and hours. But the one thing that we were telling them that she did, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that was a seizure." It was like, we thought it was so funny. Oh, look, she's riding a bike. It looks like she's riding a bike because she just had her feet up and she was spinning her feet. And then we ended up telling them that, and they're like, oh, that was that was probably her having seizures. And she was having these head drop seizures, and it just looked like just a little thing, just like a little bitty head nod. And those were those really devastating infantile spasms seizures she was having. So I don't know if you remember, but there was this drug that was so controversial. They were charging people $35,000 a vial called Acthar gel. It's an injection. We had to give her these injections in her thighs with this Acthar gel. And I think we had to go through 4 vials, and it finally stopped those seizures. And then we had just the grand mal seizures occasionally that she was having that we think might have been fever related, but we're not sure. But thankfully, we haven't had one of those in like 3 years. So that's very promising. We do have that very common, not very common, but common variant that Marley, I think it's the one that Marley has. So we got hooked up with a geneticist. Our neurologist is the one who pushed and pushed for us to get the diagnosis. He initially sent us to the Orlando Nemours, and they tested us only at that time. They were, obviously NARS1 wasn't around because I guess in 2014, they tested her for Angelman's because she was so happy always and hand flaps. And so they were like, it's got to be this, the facial features. They thought it, that was it. And we got it back and it was negative. And then, years later, they finally were like, let's just do the full sequencing of the whole fam. And so that's when we got the NARS1. And that's when I found Rory Bell, of course, just like everyone else, is such a similar path. We also found out that Sadie and I carry a Rett medullary thyroid cancer gene too. So I'm thankful that we found that out because now we can do preventative screenings for that. But yeah, the NARS1 thing was a real crusher to find out. But we've, I think, made lemonade. I think we have, so much fun as a family. She's hilarious. She's super social, just like all of you guys are saying about your kids. She's funny. She has great timing with her little jokes that she does. Oh man.
Yeah, I think I don't know how it is for the rest of y'all, but I think when you first get this diagnosis, you're like, it's like an existential and then you're going through life. There's like this outer shell of you that's like interacting with everything in your life that has to continue, and then there's like this reality that's inside of you that is like a black pit of whatever you want to call it. But at some point, with these kids, all of our kids, I think you come to realize that your parenting reality is your reality. It's nobody else's, and that they're living their lives and getting along with their lives fine within their reality. Our daughter's happy. I've met a lot of your kids already. They're happy, they're engaged, and within the reality that they live, just like within the reality that we each live our days, they're happy within that reality, and they're doing what they need to do within it. I think what I do want to get out of this conference is not just it's the fellowship. I mean, I feel like we're all part of like one of the most exclusive clubs in the world. So there's that, like, the fellowship and camaraderie of like, hey, we're all in this together. But the clinical piece and the education piece is very important. I think we're so focused on, oh my God, we got to think about our jobs and making enough money and leaving a foundation, leaving something like, we're much older. We had her much later in life. We had her, Sadie, when we were in our 40s. So we're like a little further along. We're like, oh, we got to make sure there's something there for her. We get caught up in the day-to-day of just parenting, the day-to-day of making sure we're building something that we can leave for her when we're gone, because we don't have any other kids. That I think we get a little bit detached sometimes from the fact that, oh wait, this is a nascent research. This is very early on research. We can be part of the ground floor of not just helping our family, but helping other families, and seeing if there's a way to change things in the future. So this is a great wake-up call that, okay, yeah, day-to-day parenting is great. We got to do that. It's a grind. We do have a different parenting reality than almost every other parent reality on earth. But at the same time, beyond that day-to-day, there is a larger picture that I want to be more engaged in. And I think this is like kind of kicking the ass to do that, being in this conference. So.
I just want to thank Kayla for putting it all out there. Thank you. And of course, you guys, the Rory Bell.
Thank
All right,
you.
you got my tears. I'm ready to pass it.
Tears are normal. Don't worry about it. I've had many, many already this weekend. Okay. We have a couple more. Oh, Julius. Okay. Right over here. Perfect. We didn't even plan that. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Paloma and I'm Julius's mom. This is Kurt, Julius's dad. Julius is 2 years old. He's the only boy in the family out of my siblings. We're from Hartford, Connecticut, so 2-hour drive to get here, which is not that bad. He slept through it.
So nice.
My child likes putting a lot of stuff in his mouth. Everything goes in his mouth, especially white bees, like the crinkling noise and stuff is, if I try to get his AFOs on, it's probably the best luck I have is giving him the white bees so he can just bite on it. He loves his goldfish. He likes hopping around, which I found is very common for a lot of these kids that have the NARS. I didn't know that I was going to meet a lot of people today with his genetics. And I'm thankful for, meeting all you guys because we feel alone. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
We found out about Julius's diagnosis. First, it started off at 4 months with infantile spasms. They try to say that it's happening when he, it's just with the fevers, it'll go away. And I pushed it, as a mom, like something's not right. He started on the vigabatrin and everything. They did his EEGs and everything like that. His studies came back that they were abnormal. His first year was kind of rough. He went through multiple studies and everything like that. Because of our history and our side, everything that was between his spasms and the amount of times he was getting sick, they suggested that we do the genetic testing. Genetic testing came back and NARS was on it. Neuro came with us and basically sat us down and were like, what you're gonna hear is probably not what you want to hear, but at least we know the reason why you keep visiting us and the amount of times that you have, even though you didn't want to. They gave me the foundation website and they were honest with us saying that, it's very rare, a lot of just a small case with these kids and people who have it in general. And then, like you said, the black pit in your stomach, at times they tell you don't go to Google because you're not going to see what you like. And that was me for a good amount of times. I didn't want to search, but then I was like, if I want to help him and be his voice, I'm just going to have to reach out. There was a time earlier too that I did reach out. I don't know who responded though. I don't know if it was Kat or someone, probably was Kat. And they're like, do you have the genetic testing that you're willing to talk about? And I just like, I reached out for a reason through email and I'm just like, I ignored the email because I was like, I'm not ready to hear what I heard in the emergency room with the diagnosis to then someone telling me like, okay, this is what it really is. Mentally, I wasn't prepared for that. We weren't prepared for that. So sorry for if I ignored the email, but that wasn't really what it.
Rachel,
just-
Rachel said it was her. It was Rachel.
I just. Yeah, he didn't even know I sent out the email. I was like, but I just can't keep feeling like this. So let me send out this email. And I was just like, wait, I sent it out and I'm not ready to feel how I was feeling the first time. Like if my world was coming to an end and like what I Googled is telling me this. So I didn't reply. But then I spoke to his neurologist and I was like, maybe I'll reach out again. And then I heard about the whole Boston convention and I was like, wait, this is a sign. I'm like, this has to be a sign. Maybe I am ready. Like I'm over here Googling stuff. Julius is in PT, he's in speech. He's in daycare full time and he loves it. Developmental, like he is delayed. Independently walking, he's not there yet, but he just started walking on a gait trainer, which we're trying to have that, get ordered and sent to us. But he loves it. He gets up really fast. He's a hopper again. If he needs to get there, he's going to get there his way. He's just a very excited kid. He loves playing with people. He loves outdoors. He'll let you know when he's irritated in his own way. He had trouble eating in the beginning. We had to do feeding therapy also, but now he just loves eating everything. What he did not like in the beginning is his favorite thing now. And yeah, he was a year and 7 months seizure free, being on Keppra. And this Tuesday, he actually was admitted because he had 3 seizures. But it tends to happen backwards than what he normally got it. But I'm so happy we made it out here. And he's active. He's being Julius. And he's a little small youngest one, I think, here. So if you see him, you wouldn't even know. But kid's been through a lot. And I'm just really happy that with your guys' stories, like I literally thought we're probably the only one. But it looks like we're all going through the same thing. And I'm really excited to get to know each one of you guys.
Thank you for sharing. And we're glad you made it too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, a doctor came to Rachel and I a few years ago in Los Angeles at our booth and was like, we had a NARS patient. We were like, no, you don't have a NARS patient. They're too rare. And she was like, no, I do. And it was you guys. Can't get about information that
Yeah.
All right, James, Nancy, the OG.
Yeah, what else happened? Goat?
Old original. No, not old. Oh, that's not what that means.
Does this work?
Should be on. The video needs a microphone. Yeah. It should be.
I'm Nancy. This is my husband, Bud. The one, to the left of James is Taylor. She is younger than James. He's the middle. And Lauren's the oldest. And I thank God for all 3 of them, but particularly Lauren has been the driving force of why we're here. I can't not give her credit.
She's
It's-
watching your children next door. Lauren is.
My heart goes out to you. Our experience wasn't like that. It was a very, very slow process to realize there was something up with James. Perfectly healthy boy on his birthday and slowly wasn't gaining weight and slowly having gastro problems and crawled at 14 months, walked at 21 months, and labeled globally delayed. And being the optimist that I am, he will go into early intervention and be what he was, what he's supposed to be. And obviously, for the space between someone who's the age, which was
he never, like, he was always in a special education class. Lots of, it almost comes back to me listening to you all. Yes, we did go through a lot of testing, but I don't remember a lot. I mean, we tried to just be a busy family doing a lot of things with our girls, so it wasn't, the focus wasn't always on James. I admire all you young moms that are working. I wasn't working after I had James, that are really pushing for your kids to get the best therapies. I am not that type. I don't know how I got a daughter that is, but we were pretty laid back and we were in a good state that has good education, and I always felt like he was in a good place. So we just went along with life, and yes, he was different. He looked very typical for a long time, and I used to joke with Lauren, like, people don't know that he is as delayed as he is. He just physically didn't look that way other than AFOs, but as he got older, it was clear just his stance and the way he walks it, and the fact that he sucks his thumb at 34. James got a diagnosis of peripheral neuropathy, pretty severe, in his late teenage years, which was big news to us. And it explained a lot about how he reacted in the cold. Yes, he liked to swim, but he was freezing. You know, like it was, we had him skiing, ice skating, that poor kid. We had him at cold lacrosse games for the girls, and he'd throw up. Oh, he just doesn't like the cold. So that explained a lot of things. It also, in visits with a geneticist and neurologist, say, you are going to get a diagnosis someday because of his neuropathy. And we did. At 29 or 28, 2020, during COVID, on a Zoom meeting. I don't have the same experience like you just talked. I knew James is James. He's moderately to severely delayed. So it wasn't like oh my God, he has NOS1. It wasn't like that because I knew he was never going to change. I knew he was always going to be delayed. So to me, it was just a great feeling to be able to put a label on it. And within a very short period of time, Lauren, my daughter, found Terry and Rachel's Facebook page, and we got so much information and support from them. So to me, it was such a positive thing. I'm probably the only one in the room that could say that for the NOS1 diagnosis. I think I'm checking ahead. I forgot to say we're from Bedford, Mass, and we had a whole 25-minute drive here. It was exhausting. But Jersey barriers on Memorial Drive, I wanted to what James likes. From a very early age, basketball, I think the ball going in the hoop with a ladle. He had a ladle. He would stand there and stem right in front of the TV. He could stand there for hours. So sports were number one. We would play basketball all day. And the shot he has is unbelievable. Music, he went with the respite worker who is from Ireland, hence the Irish music day in and day out for the rest of my life. The drive in here, Galway Girl, if I hear that song, probably 2,000 times. And Rattling Block, that's 10 minutes long. It's like the 12 Days of Christmas. It's an Irish song. We do a lot of Irish music. We do a lot of sports as spectators. He used to play sports. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the group, but he has lost some gross motor. He wants to hold our hand all the time. He used to be much more independent, gross motor wise, physically. I see that he's changing in that way. I already talked about the diagnosis. What do I want to get out of this conference? I too sound like a total idiot talking about NARS1. Well, what else NARS1? And I get gazed over, and if Lauren's there, I shove her up from tell them what NARS1 is. I cannot for the life of me explain it. So I'm hoping that if I hear it, maybe for the 200th time, it will stick in my brain. And I wanted to meet all of you. I do see such resemblance of James on videos I've seen and Talon. I mean, they're one and the same. James is a huge clapper, a huge high fiver. We can't go anywhere that he wants to touch every single person, high fiving or fist pumping, and he can do it really, really hard. And Miss America once got really mad at him because like he almost took her out. He loves mascots for some reason at games. He seeks them out. They ask us how his eyesight is. He could spot anything from far away. He wouldn't be able to tell someone symbols, but we know he can see and hear. He loves going out to eat. Some of the positives of James, I think there's probably 8 people that wrote their college essays about him that had a relationship with him. I like to think that he has an impact on a lot of his he has a lot of cousins. He's been a groomsman 3 times, and thinks it's his 3rd wedding, thinks it's all about him. Well, he's done the Boston Marathon 3 times to raise money for the James Gang, which Lauren started quite a few years ago to bring recreation and social events in our area for particularly older people. There's so much for young, but not necessarily for James's age. He has music therapy in his program and some other programs also. We're paying for the music therapy and working out. He also loves people, extremely social. As he's getting older, a little more anxiety, doesn't like to, if someone comes up from behind him, he's not happy about it, like startles very easily. I don't know who he learned it from, but he likes the F-bomb, uses it constantly, in not in the right way.
I wonder who taught him that, Nancy.
On the front, little kids waiting for the bus. The fact that I have a coffee cup that says best fucking Nana might indicate who we got it from me, but you know, that's what it is. He is really happy. I just have to say lately, he's just kind of, rigid, like doesn't just go with the flow like he used to, right? It's hard getting him on the van every morning where he used to love going.
He's extremely cautious. It's always been very cautious, going on stairs or anything, which is a good thing, because he's not the guy that will trip and fall, because he's very hesitant, he's very cautious. That's a good thing. Yeah. In my mind, but neuropathy has affected his son. He's probably more hesitant than he used to. I don't know.
Yeah. So, Caleb, that was a beautiful tribute to saying that he comes to a family. You can't not be happy around him. He's very smiley. He just has to touch you and he asks the same question. What are we doing today? What's your name? What are you doing today? Where are we going?
He's my best bud. Honestly, I wouldn't trade him in for anything. Been a long journey, 34 years. Just a brief history, like it wasn't making all his milestones. Around 2 years old, we took him to from one specialist to another, trying to diagnose him somehow. And eventually someone said he has a prenatally determined abnormality of the brain, intellectually disabled, which means nothing to us. And then through a process, they tried to find some kind of syndrome that he fell into, some category. And one specialist to another, they passed us all around to different specialists, and all they said, no, it's not this, it's not that, it's something else. And finally, came along here with the NARS-1 diagnosis 29 years later, and he is what he is, day to day. I mean, he's my best bud. I wouldn't trade him in. We've done a lot. He's done 8 marathons. We do rides. I tend him bicycle. I throw him on the back, ride him down. He's got a couple of chairs, and you take him out, go for long walks. Yeah, he's just a great, happy kid. I think he's probably touched more people, extended family, friends, everyone he meets. He's very sociable, happy, smiling. Has made an impression on most people. So that's the big thing. The big takeaway is I wouldn't trade that kid in. He's really opened us to a whole new world.
Yeah, we're definitely better people because of James, and his sisters have been truly impacted, and his cousins.
Fortunately, they're both in the medical field, so we can understand a little better what's going on. with all this diagnosis and stuff.
His cousin who pushed him 3 years ago, we were interviewed by a news channel, and he goes, "It's just an honor to have James as my cousin." And I am sad a lot of times. Do I want him? You wouldn't trade him in, but I want him to be loved. I want him to have a typical. It's hard to see him living with us. I mean, he's 70. We're getting up there. I think that's the hardest thing for us right now is we can't care for him forever. So that's our challenge, but you're not there yet. But we looked at one group home and I went, he won't thrive here. You know, he's living his best life. Someone else said that he is living his best life on the sectional deal with the YouTube channel he wants. I mean, we're not doing him any favors, but we want him, we give him Mountain Dew. Hey, can't have a beer. I'm gonna give my kid a Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Doesn't ask for much.
Yeah.
He doesn't ask for much.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's.
Thank you for sharing. Love it. Yes. Okay, I think we have one more. And then we'll do quick researcher intros and then have a quick break. Last but finally not least.
Nancy and I also share a birthday, so, yeah. And yeah, same year, yeah. So when I say things inappropriately and she says things inappropriately, like we're the same person. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so, this is actually my family, my sister, my brother, my dad, Rory and Charlie. This is almost 7 years ago now. This is our first July Halloween, which is Charlie wanted to do after Rory was diagnosed in July of 2020, and she was 8 months old. Similar journey, infantile spasms, seizures, lots of hospitalizations. Her liver actually ended up failing, and that's what she died from. And so all of you talking about infantile spasms, so I actually think for her it was drug induced that caused the liver to fail, and then she couldn't compensate as a result of that. So the infantile spasms is very important to me. She was on ACTH, and I think the prophylaxis damaged her liver. So I'm a pharmacist by training, so I do a lot of drug talk. And so we had July Halloween. Charlie is Rory's older brother. He's a year older than Evan, and they're best buds when they get together. And when we told him that she was dying, he was worried about Halloween. And wanted to have Halloween with her. And so this was done July of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And we've done it every year since. So we just had our 7th July Halloween on our block. We close the block down. We get out the bounce houses. We get candy donated. We have water balloon fights. And I get everybody's children sugared up and then I send them home. And so all of our neighbors are in on it now. We have a bunch of toddlers, so it's been really good. So this year Charlie was Freddy Krueger and I was a banana because I didn't know what went with Freddy Krueger. I didn't know if I should be his mother or his victim, so I was like, I'll just be a banana. So very similar diagnosis journey, very early, middle of the pandemic. And so she was in the hospital, but I was there with a geneticist, and he reached out to Henry Holden, who was writing the paper at the time, but there was 0 things on the internet, 0 things except for a French makeup company. But after she passed away in 21, I took some time away from work, did some traveling, came back, and outreached authors again. And it's amazing, they actually do respond when you say, oh, my child has died from this. And they actually do respond back to you, because I did not get a response the first time that happened. for the 2 papers that were published. And I met Terry on the internet, and we built a website, and then Kat told me, you can't tell people that children die from this. We need to change it.
That's the truth.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, and I think here we are, the moment we launched in July of 22, I called Terry because I had also just quit my job and in healthcare. And I said, hey, would you like some company? I got in the car with Charlie and we drove to Minnesota to her parents' lake house. And that was the first time, that was the first time I had ever met another child with NARS-1 with Grady and Terry and her family. And yeah, we've been on a journey ever since and started this foundation. And 4 years, I would never imagine we have met the people we've met. We met Ingrid in a line this summer of 2023 at a tRNA synthetase meeting. That's right, tRNA synthetase, which is the cluster of genes that NARS-1 belongs to. So keep that, remember that, Nancy. Yeah, Ingrid was in line. This is the same reaction Terry and I have every time when someone says like, oh, NARS-1, I've heard of that. And we're like, no, you haven't. And Ingrid turned around in line and she looked at my name badge that said the Rory Bell Foundation because I had submitted an abstract. And she turns around, she's like, I'm looking for you. I'm studying NARS-1. And I said, no, you are not studying NARS-1. I think you're confused. And she said, no, I am. And I said, no, there's only 2 papers. You can't possibly be studying this. And she said, no, I'm studying it. I've researched it. This is my doctoral thesis. And I was like, oh, okay. And I have a poster and you should come by. And that's it. And so then we were off and running from that conference. And a lot of the people that we met at that conference are here today or as a result of that conference in 23. So I think that that's one thing that I've learned is just put yourself out there and tell your story and people will come and help. And that's how we've built this slowly. So this is a hard world. It's a hard world to live in, but I'm eternally grateful for being a part of it.
I think one of the phrases we always say is like, we're so happy we met you guys, but like, we're so sorry we had to meet you this way, but we're so grateful that we got to meet you all. I feel like that's a very common thing we typically say to people. So should we meet some of the researchers that we're talking about? Okay. We do have a slide for each researcher, a little bit shorter for them. We didn't ask you guys as many questions, but we are really fortunate to have a handful of them here, whether it's the researcher we initially met or some of their students too. So there's a few not here, so I'll skip through a couple, but if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourselves before we have a break. Rob's not here, but Rob is coming. He looks nothing like this picture he submitted. But Rob's lab is the one that has created our mice models, which you'll learn about how super important that is. It's Rachel's favorite thing to talk about, but why our animal models are so important so we can be testing different therapeutics on them. But he runs the lab up in Maine that has the mice. Okay, go ahead.
I'll stand here so I don't have to keep turning around. Yeah, my name's Luke. I'm from London, but I work in Amsterdam. So we work at the Amsterdam UMC. I got into NARS-1 sort of almost by a coincidence. I was working in, our lab in Amsterdam is called the Lab GMZ. I was working in one group doing something completely different. My contract was nearing its end, and Marissa, who is my boss, comes up to me and she says, are you leaving? And I was like, yeah, like my contract's come in. She was like, would you like to work for us? And I was sort of like, this is a really nice opportunity. And she'd been sharing her research. And so I'd sort of already had an idea of what she was doing. And it's weird. You guys probably know probably more about NARS-1 specifically than I do. But my background is somehow related because science is a complicated thing. So I study cellular stress. That's what I used to do. And NARS-1 is a form of cellular stress. So it all links up together. It's all sort of one big picture. And I think since starting researching so we don't just do NAS1, we do tRNA synthetase research. So we have NAS1, but there's GARS and HARS and MARS, and we research all of them. Well, we try to at least. And I think since starting to study it, sort of researching sort of rare conditions, it's a really difficult thing because research has to sort of stay trendy. There's only so much money out there. And I think it's a really sad thing that sometimes the people who I think deserve the answers the most with research don't always get them, because it's really hard to get research into like find answers to these things. And so I really like working in my group. I really like working on what we work for, because I mean, even just listening to you all today, it's so evident how important the research we're doing is and how impactful it can be. And yeah, it's something I really enjoy doing. And it's something over the last year since I've started working there that's become more and more important. And I work in a really great team, and it's a really nice thing. But in our lab, we don't just do like NAS, we also have other people working on other rare conditions, and it's something I'm thankful for, that we all get to work on things that other people might overlook. And I'm not saying that people overlook it out of choice. Sometimes it's out of necessity, but I'm really grateful that we get that opportunity to sort of help you guys find some answers. Outside of research, I'm into athletics and things like that. I do that funny sport where people wiggle their bums, they're race walking. And I'm actually the fastest walker in the Netherlands. So, which is more impressive when you consider how tall everyone is, because I'm maybe later, maybe later. But
We're gonna need to see a video. It's over the break video. Lunch.
yeah, I mean, I can give you a demonstration. You can have it in person.
Love it.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
You for sharing. Thank you for being here. Jenica is not here. She's calling in this afternoon. Her flight.
Yeah.
She'll introduce herself.
Comment too, like what Luke said about just money and research and, you know, getting things funded is, I mean, it's really, really hard. And so the Rory Bell Foundation funded Luke's project and Marissa's project were to look for a biomarker. And so he's going to talk about that today. So we're basically trying to look for a signal that we can measure that's related to NARS1. And so if we're able to do that and you know, use a therapeutic, a drug, anything, right? And you can help correct that or fix that, right? It's super, super important for us. And it can also hopefully help with like diagnosis and other things too, if we find a signal that's unique. So yeah, so again, it's really important, and this is what we try to do. We try to fund a lot of the science that we can make leaps and bounds forward.
Can I just say one more thing, actually? I say it at the end of my presentation, but actually it's probably better to say it now. I want to thank the Rory Bell Foundation for supporting our work. I also want to thank like everyone here, because it's a really important thing. Like our research wouldn't be possible without all the materials and samples and everything that you guys like donate. And I also want to thank all of you for being here and the Rory Bell Foundation together, because of events like this, we're collaborating with people we wouldn't have collaborated with before. And there's research that's happening now because of these events. And I think it's a really important thing. So I also just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I think it's probably more poignant to say it now than at the end of my talk when you're all probably a little bit bored. So
Yeah, and actually a lot of you that have donated and provided specimens, blood samples will go to their lab. We're just actually finalizing all of those and trying to get it shipped out across the world. Matt's not here. He's coming this afternoon. He's local to Boston, so he's going to come this afternoon and give you kind of like a gene therapy ASO talk for dummies. Not that you're dummies, but you know, just so people can understand. You know, yes, yeah. Oh, Anastasia's here.
Hi, sorry, I can, not amazing with public speaking, but nonetheless, I'm from Philadelphia. I come from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. I currently work as a genetic counseling assistant. I'm actually split between clinical genetics and mitochondrial medicine. And I've been learning a lot more about RS1s, but also RS2s. I was introduced to the Rory Bell Foundation, sorry, earlier this year. One program that they offered to people in my position is to work with the Rare Disease Foundation, where you get to learn a little bit more about that foundation. And usually it's offered to University of Pennsylvania genetic counseling students, but they offered it to us, and that was the wonderful way I was introduced to Rachel. I have a background a little bit in bioinformatics. I studied genomic medicine in undergrad. Fun fact about me, I was actually a professional fencer for about 11 years. Now, I don't do that anymore, I retired. But now, since then, because I have so much time on my hands, I've become really interested in rare disease. Finding myself at CHOP is something I'm incredibly grateful for. We see a ton of different things, a ton of different babies every day. And my research role at CHOP has really led me down this path as well. I've been looking into a lot of these Rare X surveys, if that rings a bell for anyone. That's what I've been spending about, the past half a year looking through. So it's really great to see and kind of hear some of those, the phenotypes, and just to see like, this is kind of that story and connecting those together and really seeing the why behind, it's not just a variant. This is really the story behind each and every single person, and, connecting those dots together. I love puzzles, so it was really just a fun application of that. So outside of research, while I no longer fence, I have a little French bulldog I spend a lot of time with. She's, I guess, strange in her own way. So I've been spending a lot of time with her. I love to draw and paint as well. So honestly, a lot of the color coordination within these giant Excel sheets has been my biggest friend. I'm sure Rachel recognizes how much different all of the previous material looks like now. But yeah, so I'm excited to share more about this tomorrow, but thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Anastasia has been so helpful in mining a lot of data for us, which is really important because in this space, if it's not in black and white, then it doesn't count. And so it's so important for you all to participate and provide us information so that we can publish it, so that other people can become aware of it. And so she has looked at a lot of Excel spreadsheets in the last 6 months. So we're grateful for you all for providing that information too.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie Laureano Figueroa. As you can see, this is my favorite shirt. Just noticed that right now. It was unintentional, TBH. So I'm actually originally from Humacao, Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory in the Caribbean. And currently, I find myself at the University of Michigan. I'm an MD PhD student. And for my PhD work, I then joined Dr. Antonella's lab, in which our lab, we also study tRNA synthetase. So Rs, NARS, GARs, HARs, all these, and their role in these disease processes. And I started in the lab, actually worked with ours, and we got reached out by a genetic counselor. So this comes to show the importance of genetic counselors, because these are also voices for patients. In these two variants that it was in NARS, and in our lab, we have like a yeast model that we use to kind of help identify if these variants have a negative effect, right, to a biological being, and that is when I got these variants into my hands and started to read more about the enzyme and their role in disease. And that's what, in combination with this, seeing how Tony in his life his science has helped a lot of people by working in these enzymes, and especially in rare disease. That is what motivated me and is motivating me every day to do this research, to know that this helps a lot of people, even though they're considered rare disease. There's still humans that are being affected by these rare disease. And that kind of ties into my motivation
I don't know, I feel the science, when you're in the lab, you feel that science is a very cold environment and very technical, but there is a humanity to science. And this is one of the places where we see that there is a human aspect into science, it's human lives that we're trying to improve. And yeah, another thing is my family has personally been affected by diseases that don't have like a cure. I mean, they're more common diseases, so like Alzheimer's disease, my personally celiac disease, like there is a huge, there's a more common with more support. So even myself being a patient of like a disease that has more common support, we find ourselves being very like, feeling isolated and not having like an actual cure. So imagine that for like a rare disease. And then what I like about side research, I have 2 dogs. So I have a pug and a King Charles, and I love spending time with them and play video games. So that's me.
And Stephanie mentioned yeast models, so we use yeast a lot. It's the same thing that you see in bread, right? That makes bread, bread become alive and rise, and so we use that too. There is NARS 1 in yeast. They use it, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I want to say, ironically, I have celiac and I work in a yeast lab.
So yeah, she's been really, Tony's lab, and she's been really helpful in us and really trying to understand what NARS 1 does, especially different variants. And so I know, I know the Cleveland's here spoke about that. And so I think these are like to help us try to figure out, especially with variants of unknown significance, what's happening and can it cause disease. So yeast is a really helpful, useful tool to do that in.
Sorry, we're just debating. Ingrid didn't have a slide, but I introduced her at the beginning. But this is our lovely Ingrid. You heard how we met her. She does a lot of our science. So, okay. She'll be presenting the basics that we all want to know to be able to explain to other. But as you can see, we're well behind, but we're taking a break. So if you want to get up, use the bathroom, grab some water, grab a snack, we'll try to keep it short so we can get back on track, but 5-10 minutes if you can head back. Maybe go check out the music therapy and see what they're doing in there and head on back.